I was searching around to see what I could find to do another video on, and I came across this little article that piqued my interest. The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, to introduce long-lost tribe of female warriors led by Hammerhand's daughter. Now, I don't know if this is an actual thing in J.R.R. Tolkien's canon. For the most part, all I know about this movie is it's being done by a Japanese studio. If anyone can give me more information on this, and anyone who is more knowledgeable about Tolkien's works, let me know down in the comments. Anyway, before I get to reading this, it would be great help to me if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel, and leave a like on the video if you enjoy my content so far, and leave a comment before you leave. So, let's go ahead and read this article. The Lord of the Rings: The War of the Rohirrim is seemingly sidelining Helm Hammerhead in favor of his unnamed daughter, who will now lead a long-lost tribe of female warriors to reclaim Rohan from an invasion of Dunlendings. In an interview with Entertainment Weekly writer Philip Boyens, oh boy, I gotta find out what he's connected to, confirmed that an unnamed daughter of Helm would be the main protagonist of the film, she says. When they suggested anime, that's when my brain really started worrying. Immediately, the idea of telling this story came to me. They had a number of different ones they were going to pitch me, but I was quite bossy, and I was like, no, I know exactly what this needs. She continued, I immediately felt like it would work for an anime because it's so character based and also contained within its own world. It speaks to certain things that work really well with Japanese storytelling. Speaking specifically to Helm's unnamed daughter, she said, in the appendices where the story is drawn from, we get these quite interestingly drawn male characters. And when we get this young female character who is never named, and that was really interesting to me. I have a feeling it was interesting because you could make anything up you wanted without contradicting the lore. Oh boy, I'm not liking what I'm reading so far. We know Helm has a daughter, and we know that she was central to the conflict that happened. But myself, and especially screenwriter Phoebe Gittins, were drawn to her, she said. We could feel the weight of being an unnamed daughter, which immediately pegged our interest. Who was she? How did she live? Why didn't you just search through Tolkien's lore to see what you could find out about her to get it accurately as possible to make the fans happy? But other than that, the art, and I have no doubt the animation and the artwork is probably going to be excellent, depending on what studio they're going with. They've gone with. Not only is Helm's unnamed daughter, which the film has named Hera. Okay, that's actually not a bad name. It does fit within Tolkien's world, so that name I don't have a problem with. The main protagonist of the film, according to Drew Taylor at the Wrap, she's able to ride horses and communes with the great eagles. Okay. Furthermore, she calls on the power of seemingly long-lost tribe of female warriors to drive out the Dunlingdons from Rohan. Okay, so it's the guys that ride the elephants from the Lord of the Rings. I didn't know that's who they were. Okay. Jonathan Wattens at the One Ring reacted to this information. I went through the people of Middle Earth. I went through the letters of J.R.R. Tolkien. The people of Middle Earth. It has the notes to the House of Earl, which is part of the appendix in Return of the King that notes that Tolkien wrote Christopher Tolkien, his son, put through the ringer to give us his guidance. and information on how Rohan was envisioned and how the House of Auril was envisioned in Return of the King. He continued, and then I also went through this here, which is the J.R.R. Tolkien Companion Guide and Reader's Guide. It is pretty much everything you could want when it comes to researching characters, people, places, and Middle-earth. It is the most complete resource you can get. Shield Maiden is never, never. There is no Shield Maidens anywhere in this. He later added, here's the thing. People are tired. I'm tired of the girl boss thing becoming the only way to tell a story. The only way to tell an action tale is to drive these girl bosses right into the front, smother us with the things we don't believe, and change the story that Tolkien wrote. It's boring, it's predictable, and it's not even as good as anything he wrote, Watson declared, based on reporting by Slash Film. It appears that Boyens and Warner Brothers are going to try and get around this by having Miranda Otto's Eowyn narrate. Don't look for her in the ancient accounts, for there are none. It makes no sense. She was a As noted by Boyens, Helm's daughter is unnamed in the independencies, and while the rejection of a marriage offer between her and Wolfe is central to the short story, she as a character is not. This is what Tolkien wrote of her. To one of these councils, Fricka rode with many men, and she asked the hand of Helm's daughter for his son Wolfe. Instead, the central character of the story are Helm Hammerhand, Wolf Helm's son Haleth, and Hamma and Helm's nephew Freelef and Hild's son. In Tolkien's story, the invasion of Rohan is preceded by a confrontation between Helm Hammerhand and Fricka, asks for Helm's daughter in marriage to his son. Wolf Hammerhand rejects it and calls him fat. Fricka responds, saying old kings that refuse a pro-offered staff may fall on their knees. The two then participate in King's Council. However, after it is concluded, Hammerhand confronts Fricka, rebukes him for his words of rebellion, and kills him with a single punch. He then declares Fricka's son Wolf and his men enemies of the king. 4 years after this confrontation, Rohan is invaded by Dunlingdons, led by Wolf. They were joined by enemies of Gondor that landed in the months of Lefnu and Isan. I'm sorry if I butchered those. Rohan loses to the face of the Dunlingdons and their allies led by Wolf in a battle at the crossings of Isen. After being defeated, Helm Hammerhand flees to the safety of Hornburg, where the invading forces set up a siege. The invading forces also split, with Wolf leading a portion of the army to Eredos, to the city Tolkien wrote. Wolf took Eredos and sat in Medulsud, I think that's what it's called, and called himself king. There Haleth Helm's son fell, last of all defending the doors. Meanwhile, at the Hornburg, a long winter sets in, and Rohan is covered in snow for 5 months. Both forces suffer from the cold and lack of provisions. In an attempt to acquire provisions, and against his father's counsel, Hamma leads sortie, but does not return, and were lost in the snow. Following this, Tolkien detailed Helm grew fierce and gaunt for his famine and grief, and the dread of him alone was worth many men in defense of the burg. He would go out by himself, and clad in white, and talk like a snow troll in the camps of his enemies, and slay many men with his hands. It was believed that he bore no weapon would bite on him. One morning Helm did not return, and he was discovered dead as a stone, but his knees were unbent. As for Frelef, when the winter broke, he came down out of Dunharrow, to which many had fled, and with a small company of desperate men, he surprised Wolf in Misselden and slew him and regained Eridos. Aid from Gondor would eventually arrive, and he would drive out the Dunlingdons from the rest of Rohan, and even Isengard. He would eventually be crowned king of Rohan, with the wizard Saruman arriving to give him gifts. Helm's body would be taken from Hornburg and laid to rest in the ninth mound where the white Cymbeline There, most thickly most thickly, so that the mound seemed to be snow-clad. Why do you make this confirmation that an unnamed daughter Helm Hammerhead will be the main protagonist, and that she will call on a long-lost tribe of female warriors? Great. Other than the artwork and the animation, which I'm sure is going to be really good. That Japan is very well known for that. Uh, I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about the character designs either. I'm worried about the writing. And the fact that they're just making stuff up full cloth also has me worried. Oh, I might still go watch this and do a review on it later. Well, afterward. But I don't know. It's just the whole story that and the whole thing where they went through the history of this battle. It sounds like it would make up for at least 2 seasons of an anime at least. Instead, they're doing a movie and they're changing things. This has got the meddling. Excuse me. This has the smell of WB meddling with Tolkien's lore all over it. Oh boy, why can't people just stick to the lore? Seriously, it's already written. You don't need to think about it, you just need to follow what happened. Tolkien was very deliberate and very specific on what happened and what characters took what roles in what part of history and where they were. This definitely dampers my excitement for this movie. Like I said, I probably will do a review for it, which means I'll have to go out to the movies and watch it, or stream it if that's where it's going to be coming out to. Let's see. Do they mention anywhere where it's going to get a release? 2024, Warner Bros. Pictures. Still okay. I mean, the artwork looks. I really like this artwork. It looks like it would be from Tolkien's works. Of course, there we have Helm's Deep. That is, um, wait a second. That looks like a artwork from Lord of the Rings: The Two Tower. Yeah, okay, yeah. Gandalf leads the Rohirrim at the Battle of Hornburg and the Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. Okay, yeah. Okay, so that is. I thought that was because I recognized the horse. Of course, we have Eowyn right here. There are reasons why she wrote in the battle, and it wasn't for what people think. Well, anyone who's seen the movie and read the books will know why Eowyn is such a great character. Why do I feel like the talent and the hard work of the Japanese developers and animators are gonna get wasted on something that would be more beneficial to their talents? Well, I will say at least they're getting paid for it. Well, can't we have nice things anymore? Just anyway, I got nothing else. This is Ryder. I'm out.